Somebody, speaking of the draft, somebody else I want to talk to you about that I'm fascinated by. And the more I talk to you, the more I see why you guys connected so much beyond your shared love of reading, and that's Scoot Henderson. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, because right now we're consumed by Dame time and Lillard watch when the Blazers, if his track record is any indication, may have gotten as big a star, maybe not literally as big, but as big a star as the Spurs got it in Victor Wembanyama in Scoot Henderson at number two. I guess first I'll start with just identify. Was it the fact that he's the youngest professional American basketball player ever when he signed with the Ignite? What was it that led you to Scoot Henderson? And beyond the purple cow, why'd you guys vibe so much? What stood out to you the most about him?
Yes, and purple's my favorite color. We will get to that. But yes, like you said, he was the youngest pro. So at that time, I think people forget that about Scoot
I beg your pardon. Scoot was the number three pick. I'm sorry. Forget about poor Brandon Knight. But yeah. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I think people forget that at the time that he made this decision to go to the G League, he was the youngest pro, and that was seen as like, whoa, what is he doing? And I think because NIL legislation hadn't passed yet, all these, overtime, all these other things that were popping up hadn't really gotten the traction. People forget that a lot of Scoot's story was about being this like new school, doing things differently. And that was really attractive to me when I saw that. The other thing is like, obviously I had been trying to get the Wemby story like everyone else. And there's a whole line of people for that. And
you are definitely a zigger when they zag. I could tell that about you.
So I was like, okay, everyone's doing that piece. I'm going over here. It's kind of like, so like in college, I was interning for the Clippers, and I got to write for their website. And of course, everyone wanted to be around Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, but like nobody was where Roni Turioff was. And I'm like, you know what? Let me go over to Roni because he's going to actually talk to me. And so it taught me such a valuable lesson of like, I learned so much from Roni in that interview. And I didn't need to do what everybody else was doing to write a valuable story. And so it's kind of the same principle here. It's like nobody was really talking about Scoot as much. And I just found him so interesting. And so like what I like to do when I go to a city and I report a story is like, I'll just informally talk to everyone around him without even like starting the recorder. And I was like, so what's he like? Like, what does he do outside of basketball? Like, what's he like? And they're like, his nose is always in a book. And I was like, really? Like what books? Because they don't know that I'm obsessed with books. Like they don't, that's. And the PR person was like, he mentioned this book about a purple cow. So like immediately, like I went to get I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? We have a story. And I read it. I was like, of course he loves this book. It's all about being different. It's all about being a purple cow in a field of, cows that are all brown or whatever. And so that was the first question I asked, and he was so shocked. He was so shocked that I was asking about a book and not like, how does he feel about the draft or whatever. And, I could just see his like nervousness sort of melting away because it was like, we're just talking about books. And I really enjoyed that interview. He's such a thoughtful, interesting person. And I think the books are kind of a metaphor for what I think is what makes him so unique is the maturity. It's really, really hard to be. You get a private jet at like age 16, 17. And he just sort of acts like he doesn't drink his own Kool-Aid. He knows how good he is, but he's not, I'm Scoot, I'm the greatest ever.
Well, what was one of the lines? He plays like he's trying not to get cut from JV. He doesn't play So no, it seems like he's been a pro. I came away more convinced that he's going to be a star at the third pick. Nothing bothers me more, and I make them more often now that I'm getting older and my brain is starting to go, than making mistakes. I also think I said Brandon Knight, maybe because I just talked to DeAndre Jordan recently. I meant Brandon Miller, obviously, for if you're keeping track at home, know how many times Michael fucks up. I meant Brandon Miller out of Alabama, second pick to the Hornets.
Yes.
Mirin Fader's next feature. You'll probably unlock something about him that we don't know. He is an interesting dude, by the way. Brandon Miller is actually not a bad subject for you. Scoot Henderson, though, so he gets drafted by the Blazers, Damian Lillard's Blazers, a Damian Lillard that he reached out to for advice, slid in his DMs once upon a time. I mean, without getting too far out into where he's going to end up in the heat of it all and, player and yada, I would love to see those two play together. May not make a whole bunch of sense from a team building standpoint, but it just feels like, man, that's kind of unfulfilling if you reach out to this guy for advice. Such a great story with an unhappy ending, I
mean, you should have seen Scoot's face when he showed me the DM. It was so cute. It was like, oh my God, look who responded. And then I read the message, and he didn't just say like, hey, I'd like some advice. It was very like how we want journalism students to reach out to us. It was like, and he said his full name. Hi, my name is Scoot Henderson, as if nobody knows who he is. Hi, my name is Scoot Henderson. I was wondering if I could get some advice on blah, blah, blah. And he named a specific thing. And he was so touched that Damian wrote him a substantial answer. It wasn't just keep that up. It was like a real paragraph answer. And so the profound respect that I know Scoot has for Dame is there. And I'm sure that Dame, has that same respect. I think it would be so cool for him to learn from Dame. See, for me, I think rookie year, it's all about learning. It's all about, mentorship. And what if he had that mentorship? Can you imagine how beneficial that would be for Scoot? That would be just a masterclass.
And listen, it's a conversation for another podcast. I still think there's a chance that they do end up together. Hey, thanks so much for kicking it with your main man, Michael Smith. Be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, but also subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Rate it, review it, tell your friends about it. Oh, and be sure to follow me on social media.